Hey guys, and welcome to another edition of the Blue Review. Today we're going to be talking about Men in Black 2 from Sony Home Entertainment. You can't talk about a sequel unless you just briefly talk about the first movie. And the original Men in Black movie was a perfect storm of everybody's career coming together at just the right time. Tommy Lee Jones had been an actor in the 60s and 70s, but by the 80s he largely fell out of fashion. Nobody was hiring him. In the early 90s, director Andrew Davis hired him to do a film called Under Siege, where he played the bad guy. The movie was a huge success. Was probably one of the most successful films in Steven Seagal's career, and kind of relaunched his career as he got great reviews. He followed that up in Andrew Davis's next film, The Fugitive, where he played the cop hunting down Harrison Ford. This was another great movie for him, and he'd go on to star in movies like The Client and Cobb, which is an underrated film, and then he was Two-Face in Batman Forever, another huge success. Will Smith had a successful television show. He was coming off Michael Bay's first film, Bad Boys, which was a huge success, as well as Independence Day for director Roland Emmerich. And the director of the film, Barry Sonnenfeld, had been a very successful cinematographer working with the Coen brothers and had two very successful films in the Addams Family and Addams Family Values before signing on to this. Of course, you've got Steven Spielberg. You've got effects by Rick Baker. You've got Vincent D'Onofrio from Full Metal Jacket. You've got the writer Ed Sullivan, who's come on, and he had worked on the Bill and Ted movies. I mean, everything came together and made this really great kind of quirky movie that was a lot of fun and very successful at the box office. But it also seemed to be a double-edged sword, because between Men in Black and Men in Black 2, it seemed to be that everybody's career started to be cursed. Tommy Lee Jones didn't do anything of note. Will Smith did some of his biggest failures. He did a movie called Enemy of the State right after it for Tony Scott, which was a success but largely a forgettable film. Then he did probably one of the worst movies of his entire career, Wild Wild West, which also was directed by Barry Sonnenfeld and was the only movie he made in between Men in Black and Men in Black 2. He also did two box office bombs. First, Ali, for director Michael Mann, lost huge amounts of money at the box office, even though it garnished him even though it got him an Academy Award nomination. It failed at the box office, and nobody's ever really talking about Ali anymore. And he did a movie called Legend of Bagger Vance for director Robert Redford, but it failed to find an audience as well. So Will Smith was really struggling, and they all came back together to do Men in Black 2. So here we are, we're all cut up. Well, it didn't seem like Men in Black 2 was going to jumpstart anybody's career. From the outset, it seemed like it was a cursed film. There was 6 years in between the original Men in Black and this one. And in the meantime, they had created an animated series which had brought back the character of Kay, as well as continued the character that Linda Fiorentino played in the first movie. I watched the animated series a little bit, but I'm certainly no aficionado on the subject, but, you know, it is what it is. So they were faced with a dilemma. Do we continue with the continuity of the cartoon, or do we continue with the continuity of the original movie, which is what they decided to do. So in this one, Will Smith is sort of the senior agent. The first half of this movie is great. It's working. Will Smith is at the top of his game. This character is really the best character that he plays. He's able to bring his over-the-top energy, but also create a subtlety so that the character never gets annoying, like, you know, Chris Tucker in Rush Hour 3, where you just want to fucking run him over with that stupid taxi he's always flopping around in the back. Will Smith has a great balance in this character, and the scenes with him and Patrick Warburton in the beginning of the movie, you feel like this movie is starting out right on the right note. It's amazing. It's working. It's clicking. It's as good. And, you know, once they bring back Tommy Lee Jones, it's going to be great. It also has Rosario Dawson in it, and the chemistry that she has with Will Smith is excellent. They should make another movie together because they were really good together. I mean, Rosario Dawson is always an actress you can count on because while she's been in some crappy movies, she's never crappy in them. And that's a really strong, she really turns in a strong performance. Now, they haphazardly have to get Tommy Lee Jones back for some stupid reason. And so they bring him back, but like in the first movie, they had erased his memory, and he went back to live with his wife. Well, they had to get rid of the wife so they could bring her back, and it's all done so clunkily and so like, like that you don't really. It just seems kind of strange. But anyways, they bring him back, and he starts gradually remembering, and then the movie also starts gradually falling apart. So they also cast Laura Flynn Boyle in the film. And this woman literally is the palest woman. I mean, she makes Kristen Stewart look like frickin' Pam Grier. She is just pale. And she's playing basically the same character that Vincent D'Onofrio played, except he was a bug and she's a plant. And they also brought in Johnny Knoxville, who was, Johnny Knoxville from Jackass. Johnny Knoxville is not an actor. Johnny Knoxville should not be acting. Although he's gotten better over time, they took a guy who did not know what the fuck he was doing and gave him 2 parts because his character has like a fucking snake head worm creature thing that comes out of his back. So he's playing against himself, and they both suck ass. They are so fucking annoying that you just be like, ugh. Luckily, he's not in the movie a whole lot, but every time he is, he's terrible. Laura Flynn Boyle is doing her best to kind of play like a bitchy, sexy character. And I think for the most part it works, but it just feels very derivative. And you also feel like they're trying to pull a story out of nothing. So you get all these characters who seem to be sort of running around trying to save the world, but you never feel like the world is in danger. Now, the big thing is, does Men in Black tell a complete story? Absolutely. It has a beginning, it has a middle and an end, and it's there. It's all there. The problem is, it's so rushed. It's 88 minutes long that it just feels more like a television, like an episode of like a Men in Black TV show, like maybe like a pilot, like an extended pilot, than it really feels like another great movie epic or a worthy sequel to the first movie to the first film. It's rewatchable. It's not a horrible film. I mean, there are moments in it that are really, really great. Then there are other moments where they took things that worked well in the first movie and then just did them to the excess, like Frank the Pug Dog, who gets kind of annoying in the film. And the worm guys, who are really great in the original film and good in the cartoon, become annoying in this one. And other things. I mean, there's a sequence in the movie where Michael Jackson is like appears in this giant screen as just a huge close-up of him, and it just is like, I don't know what you did to your nose, sir, but you look freaky. There's just so many aspects of the movie where you're just like, but at the end of it, it's, you know what? It's not bad. It feels rushed. It feels like it's not great. But here's the thing. The first movie works. The third movie works. They're on par with each other. And you kind of, if you're a completist, you're going to want this. It's just a fact. You're going to want it. Sony did a really great job with this. They released it for like $13, and also you get like $10 off if you want to go see Men in Black 3 in the theater. So it's like $13 for this thing. You get all the special features from the DVD, and it's got great picture quality. So if you're a completist, you're absolutely going to have this. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend you buying it. But you know what? The first and the third one are so great, you might as well go out and pick it up. Now, if you want to wait on it in hopes that Sony puts out a box set, well, go for it. I mean, but as far as I'm concerned, this and the first Men in Black movie, they're worth picking up for the few shekels that they are. Alright, until next time when we talk about some other movies, this has been the Blue Review. Space, bitches.